Hello everybody. Hello everybody. This is harima here, and I know a lot of people. Well, a few people like to ask us this: Did the bar actually ever was the bar ever owned? What is our bar? Was it ever owned by anybody else? And the answer to that is yeah, it was. But it was he was a kind of a he was a dude that would, he was one of those bosses that, he was, I guess, putting it into a kind of more vague description, he was sort of the fun dude. But yeah, before we actually took ownership of it because, the boss died, I won't actually say his name, but he was a kind guy. Okay, I'm gonna say it. You know how in you know how Bugsy sort of blames himself for two things, Ryoko dying and Johnny dying? Well, the bar originally, and technically he didn't die by chaos, but that's a different story altogether. Well, in our universe. In the other universes, yeah, he died by chaos. But in our world, technically, um, it wasn't because of alcohol either. But Johnny actually owned the bar. And, being the kind of dude he was, he has work for him. And Bugsy was happy because, that piano he has now, was actually part of the bar, but it became his. But this is the story I'm trying to tell here. This story, and yeah, like on Sakamoto wanted to spill the beans about Bugsy and Sally, I guess I gotta do my part because there actually was a lot of evidence on that one. Especially because I was there for most of it, and I'll admit this to you people. Everything that Sakamoto told you about her and Sally, everything that Bugsy told you about Sally and him, and everything that Sakamoto told you about Sally and Bugsy is 100% true. Because let me tell you. Now, um, during, I guess, after after the breakup between Sonic and Sally and everything wasn't as tense, everything kind of calmed down for a moment. Bugsy, Bugsy and I, one night, we were working at the bar. Now, Asakamaru didn't work there originally at first, so back then it was just me and Bugsy, Bugsy being the piano guy, the music guy, and me being the bartender. And yeah, Sally was able to drink back then. It was pretty weird, but I rolled with it. And okay. So I don't know. Bugsy had some kind of a thing with Sally too about the whole Sonic thing because when he heard about the whole thing that Sonic played, when he heard from Sonic that she said that all Sonic does is play heroes, Bugsy got so angry and so upset because to him it's like because he was a freedom fighter. He was and still is a freedom fighter. So hearing Sally say that, it's like it's like the years that Bugsy and Sakamoto spent as freedom fighters was as she put it, pulling all pretend it was fake, blah blah blah. The fight of robotic was just nothing to her. But Bugsy realized, she was hurt. But anyways, one day she came into the bar. Bugsy was kind of, in a way, kind of giving her the cold shoulder because he was still pretty angry. And I'll be the first one to tell you, when Bugsy is seriously ticked off, do not talk to him unless you have something, that you need to say. Because he'll go off. And trust me, you do not want to see Bugsy fully go off. I mean, you may see that in his Toonami video where he kind of went off, but when you see him fully enraged, fully ticked off, you do not want to go there. I don't want to go there. But anyways, back to what I was saying. So, Bugsy's at the piano playing. He was playing a pretty ironic song at the time. And Sally was gonna ask for a drink, but she looked at Bugsy, and Bugsy looked at her for a moment. And Bugsy says, "Why are you here?" And Sally looks at Bugsy and says, "Bugsy, I don't mean if I'd." She said, "If I offended you, I'm sorry. It's just the thing with Sonic and everything else is so hard for me." And Bugsy said, "Well, I didn't have to say that everything we've done as freedom fighters was basically a lie. Because it wasn't. We did what we had to do, and I know you're angry at Sonic now, but still, it still meant to everybody in this bar, because everybody in the bar were Mobians, but it still means something to everybody in this bar, because without us, they all would have been roboticized. They wouldn't be enjoying this." And so he looked at him and said, "I'm sorry." And she looked at Bugsy yet again, she kind of touched his chin for a moment. And Bugsy was like, kind of blushing. If you see how Bugsy actually blushes, it's actually pretty funny. So, and he's like, "Sally," and but he'll say Sal sometimes. He'll be like, "Sal, but I don't think. I mean, I know it's been like a few weeks since you and Sonic broke up, but I really, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's always been something between us, but I don't think I could do that to Sonic. I mean, technically, I know I'm adopted, but we're brothers, man. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna say I didn't never have feelings for you, because I'd be lying to myself. But at the same time, I gotta go with my better judgment here and pull away." And Sally was a lot, a lot. Well, I'd say a lot agreeing to this, because they. But in truth, Bugsy, after Sally left, and she was kind of disappointed. And she actually was like 2 centimeters away from the bar door. Bugsy actually came through and actually kissed Sally. Now, no one really knows this, but but I'll tell you the truth anyway, because I think none of you would believe me anyway. You know how Monkey Kong is sorta, give or take, kind of, in a way, has the same tail as the same kind of monkey tail? Well, for a while, and this is only in our this is only in our universe. Now the comics are something totally different, but in our universe, it goes as this. Bugsy and Sally actually did go out for a time. I'd say it was just after the whole him down to Troy thing that I'm not gonna bring up, on the grounds that it would, Bugsy don't want to. I know Bugsy wouldn't want to remember that. So, it's So they did date for a while. You know, back at the time, Ani would we had like an apartment, like the three of us would live there. You know, Ani was still an assassin. You know, for Bugsy already hung up. You know, the fact that he was raised by her, but you know, Ani kept going still. And to his credit, he got more money than us working at the bar. And every time we worked, you know, every time like for like a few months we'd work at the bar, you know, Sally would come and sit so Bugsy kind of near him during and with the bars. I mean, sit at the piano stool where, you know, Bugsy would sit and play his piano, and I swear to God, Bugsy Bugsy's energy would so totally be up. I don't think, you know, Bugsy won't, I mean, technically, he denied to Ani that, you know, they were ever together, but to me, I knew the truth before anybody else. I knew the truth, you know. And, you know, after, you know, a while, they did think, and bear with me, folks, they actually did think of getting married. But again, both of them still pushed away because they wouldn't want to do that to Sonic. I mean, Bugsy and Sonic are basically, Bugsy actually thinks of Sonic more as like his other brother. Even though there's like 5 of us technically, he has 5 brothers technically, he sees Sonic as more, you know, his brother, and at the same time, you know, his equal, you know. I mean, he sees Tom as a rival, as an equal, but he sees Sonic as more of like his equal and whatnot. And Bugsy and Sally, as they were kind of going to announce it, Sonic was there. And Bugsy and Sally, they just say like, never mind, they both were like, Bugsy opened the portal to Mobius, and she kind of went to our apartment, and Bugsy and Sally had another talk about the whole you know, what they do to Sonic and what would that mean for them still being freedom fighters and all. So Bugsy and Sally just pointed out like this. Bugsy said, I don't want to hurt Sonic, and you don't want to hurt Sonic, and you're still sort of in love with Sonic, and I don't want to hurt Sonic because he's like a brother to me. So, Sally, we're gonna just have to stop seeing each other again, but this time for permanent. Yes, he said this time for permanent. Well, I guess he was saying, you know, permanently, but, you know, I couldn't hear because his voice was soft, because he was really sad at that point. But I swear to you all, Bugsy, when it comes to Bugsy's Bugsy's like 3 different ways, all in one. First, he can be, well, happy. Other times, he can be a little arrogant, but never cocky. But, you know, a lot of people don't know that he does have a sadder side to him. I mean, yeah, he'll always play up the fact that he's, like, he says in shout random and crazy, but, so, you know, when he hears the word, when he thinks about Ryoko or any of the girls he's been with, be it tragic circumstance or anything else, he'll get pretty bummed. And I usually cheers him up. But I know, you know, it really does hurt him. Really, really bad. You know, but Bugsy, you know, he's one of the examples of what a person, you know, basically is. Yeah, we laugh. Even as fans, we laugh, we cry. Some of us go on murderous rampages. You know, and some of us get dumped or granted the fact of how powerful we are. We get enemies, and it never works out well. Now, Bugsy, him and Sally still talk. They still talk. To this very day. I mean, yesterday before Bugsy was talking to Gain about some fashion, some beauty pageant that Bugsy dubiously turned down. He was like, "No, I can't do this." So, but he talked to, Sally would just basically just talk. I don't know really about what, but it's what they do. And trust me, there ain't nothing suspicious about it really. Bugsy only sees Sally as a friend, and Sally does the same thing. But I think it's, to be quite honest, I think it's though they loved each other a little bit. Their Bugsy's um, brotherly instinct for him and Sonic, and Sally's love for Sonic in general, that's what stopped them. But they never really saw it like as some kind of thing. They just knew that was how things are. And oh yeah, I didn't want to talk about this, and Bugsy might beat the ever-living crap out of me. He's done it before. I mean, I may punch hard, but he'll knock my shades off my head. And no one can do that other than him. So, he'll knock the shades right off me. But him and Sally used to, Ani kind of hinted at this, but yeah, they got down. They got down pretty often. I kind of don't want to put Bugsy on the spot, but yeah. Well, for this first bar story, I kind of wanted to do something that involved one of us. And trust me, you ain't gonna hear a bar story about Asa Kamara. Well, I actually do have time for that one. But anyways, yeah, they did kind of, as Ani would say, merge tails, if you get what I'm saying. And Bugsy will never tell you that because he doesn't brag about that kind of stuff. Ani would. He would. And the reason why Bugsy always gets mad at Isaac Murray every time he brings up the whole him and Coco, what their latest sexual escapade was, is because he hates the fact that Isaac Murray brags about it mostly anytime he's around Bugsy, and I don't like it either because. Seriously, some of the stuff he says about him and Cocoa, even I just say, ugh, oh god, because they do some pretty gross stuff. I'm not even gonna lie. I mean, there's sex and what they do, and trust me. About half of those things are stuff you can just see on the internet for free. It's just freaky. but my friends, Avi wasn't always the smooth talking. Well, he was always Phantom Dark, but he was always not the smooth talking Dark we all know. No, he started out as kind of how he is and mock-up with his little Han Sakamoto voice. You know, he can change his voice and his face and whatnot, because, you know, that's what he can do. That's basically what he can do. Now, on Sugamaru, well, other than the fact that, you know, he's our brother and he can change into whatever he can actually do. He can change into anything, really. Now, I know what you're saying. So what happened to Sugamaru? Why is he so interesting for the sake of the story? Well, he wouldn't tell you this, only because he doesn't want to remember, and he's probably suppressed this memory so far into himself. You're not pretty much going to get a straight answer from him. But, again, I know the truth. Now, bear with me. You know Toontown from Roger Rabbit? Well, in our universe, which is sort of like a hodgepodge of everything, that's real. And you know how Jessica Rabbit likes, you know how Jessica Rabbit in the movie allegedly cheats on Roger Rabbit? Well, change the patty cake into something a little bit more graphic and put my dear brother Sugamaru in there, and yeah, that's what you got. Now, Bugsy, he pretty much looked at Ani for a moment, and this I'll never forget. And this happened in the bar too. We were all like doing our jobs, and Bugsy found out. And he looks at Sugamaru and says, "Ani, may I have a little word with you in the men's room?" Now Bugsy will do this. He'll do this. He still does this. Like where, if me and Ani are ever out of line, like we're doing something messed up or crazy, he'll just come over and talk to us where no one could actually hear what he has to say. Now, Sugamaru, he has a little bit more self-control than he had back in those days, but he kind of fueled the whole him and Jessica Rabbit, Roger actually hiring Bugsy to solve what was going on, because Bugsy was sort of a detective of sorts, and you know, Bugsy had a lot. When I think about it, Bugsy had a lot of freaking professions. Like really, maybe it's because he can regenerate and basically look like different people and stuff like that. But I don't know. Either way. So he found out it was on him, and he looked at him and I was like listening. I was listening because I was in the bathroom because I just eaten a big bang of Taco Bell. Don't ask. Well, you probably already know. But you know, he goes on and says, "Why did you do it?" And I was looking around and says, "Dude, are you blind? You know?" And he's like, "You know how hot she is?" And Bugsy goes like, "Yes, but Roger is our friend, and you kind of betrayed the trust." And he's like, and Ani goes Ani goes and says like, "You never betrayed Sonic's trust," kind of referencing what I've said earlier, because this happened like after that, like a few years after that. And Ani would just go there with Bugsy. I mean, now they're like brotherly, but oh, they used to fight too, but the reason they fought was for a different reason than me. The reason why me and Bugsy used to fight, and you know, so so Bugsy looked at him. He says, "If you do this, man, I have to tell Roger what you've been doing. Just give up now, and I don't have to do this." And Azumarill looked at him, and may I point out that Ani does value bugs a little bit more nowadays. But in those days, they used to be at each other's throats. You think me and Bugsy used to be at each other's throats? No, they used to be too. Now, no. So Bugsy kind of again. They weren't fighting or anything. It was just them arguing of just how wrong this was, and Ani just replying how in his words, brain dead hot she is. Now, I may point this out also that Ani is technically a little bit younger than Bugsy, even though technically me and Bugsy and Asakura are fraternal twins. We don't look alike. I swear to God, that's basically the reason why we're called the Big Three. Because technically triplets. That's all I gotta say. That's basically why people on our planet call us the Big Three. Bugsy changed it into something else. So okay. Where was I? So oh yeah, they were still fighting in the bathroom. So then Bugsy and Azumarill actually pull out their guns, and we're actually about to have a standoff. Now, this was messed up on a number of levels, but Bugsy and Ani looked at each other and said, Bugsy said, "This is just like before now, isn't it?" And Ani was like, "Yeah, I guess so. But this time we'll actually resolve this." Bugsy was like, "Indeed we will." Then I came out afterwards, I got out, slapped them both, and just said, "Dudes, Bugsy, again, you pulled the gun on Ani, like usual." And I said, Asakura. I used his actual name. I used his full name, which is Phantom Dark Prescott Kurosaki. Yes, Kurosaki is our last name. Don't question it. So, anyways, I looked at it. I said, "Ani, dude, would you like it if you got cheated on? What would Belle Dandy say if she saw you now?" And Belle Dandy is like just a trigger for him because the regeneration process. Ani has it too, and that's the reason why he can basically shapeshift. And Bugsy, Ani started remembering, and he looked at me and said, "How do you know what she'd say if she? How do you know how she'd react to this?" Well, and I said to Ani, I said to Asakura, do you understand? Do you understand how messed up you would have felt if she cheated on you for anything, for like any reason, and how hurt you would have felt? And Ani looked over. He said, "Yeah, I guess you're right." But and then he says, "I guess I'll stop." But to be quite honest, the lovemaking was just blew my mind. And then Bugsy said, "Yeah, you'll tell me about that later, will you?" Now, Bugsy still doesn't brag. Bugsy, as a common thing, like I've said before, he doesn't brag, but he'll listen. He'll sometimes, in that instance, listen to Ani because, come on, just correct this basically. basically really hot for a tune. Wouldn't any of us dudes, if you could actually get with her, wouldn't you try? Wouldn't you try? I mean, I know I would. But, I pretty much resolved that whole issue. You know? Because, like Bugsy always says, we need each other a lot more than we all need to be alone. So, that's what he'd say. And kind of still says this very day. On Sakamoto again, he's a lot more, but I want to state these facts now, but these are old stories, because they happened a long time ago. Now, Bugsy would basically say to you guys, see you later, but I want to do something a little different for you guys, and that is, I want to say, if you ever want to hear a story from our bar, just come and see me. I'll tell you anything and everything you need to know, and some stuff you didn't even need to know to begin with, but you'll still enjoy it because these are facts that happened, and these are stories that actually happened to the three of us, and they're kind of important. Especially when Bugsy actually kind of, if Bugsy has like one of his mood swings when he sees, Ryoko and Shinji and Tokyo when they're doing something like that, you want to know why he does that. Because it's actually pretty important. So, if you ever need a story, if you ever request like a story for anything, I'll do it. But I'll also come out with other stories from either us or something that happened in the bar. So yeah, so this little bit of storytelling I'm gonna call Harima's Bar Stories, and I'll just leave it at that. Well, see you later. This is Harima saying, if you ever need a story, if you ever need a truthful story, you got me. See you guys later.